boxes are the last couple steps to squaring a board. We've already went through the planer, we went through the joiner, we went through the table saw. Now we're going over to the miter box just to finish the last two surfaces to square them up. So what I want to do is inspect my board a little bit, and you might have a crack in your board, so I drew like a crack in there. You actually want to cut, we're going to be cutting the ends of this board. That's the last two steps. So I actually want to try to trim the best end first. So the best end would be over here. So I'll take my square and make my mark, and I'm just trying to lightly clean it off. And then I'll take my measurement. So let's say my measurement, is 3 foot. And then maybe I'll be able to take more of this defect off. And that's the goal, to get rid of as much of the defect as possible, because that crack could continue down the board a little bit, and if you can cut as much of that off as possible, it will benefit your project. So first I'm going to cut the good end, and then I'm going to cut the bad end. And that's kind of interesting. A lot of people always want to cut the bad end first, and I think you're better off cutting the good end. So you're going to trim the good end first, and then the bad end. One other thing about the miter box is we have some blocks of wood over here that can kind of help build up your table, okay, to help support your work. So you're going to grab the piece that fits with the miter box. Now unfortunately all our miter boxes are a little different heights, so we have some blocks here that are different heights. So if I grab the wrong block, it actually puts my board up too high. So you can kind of see right here, it's not down against a fence. You can probably see there's just a little gap right here. If I use the right board, that's going to be flat, and it's going to help me out. This board has a small warp to it, but you want to make sure you grab the right block to help support your wood. So I'm going to come back over here, and I'm just going to trim the good end first, trying to save my line. Now I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to trim the bad end. So now my board should be square. I should have just done all 6 surfaces, and it should be parallel. Every surface should be parallel or perpendicular to each other. So the way I can check that out is by just taking a tape measure now. And this is the last step of squaring the board. And I'm going to measure from corner to corner. So if I measure from this corner, and then if I measure from this corner, the measurement should be what? The same, right? So the measurement should be the same. And I'll know that my board is square and good to go. So that's the last couple steps of squaring a board and finishing up with the miter box.